Hello, welcome to InfoHub In Depth. Radio has been called the theater of the mind. Thousands tune into community radio stations as they provide a snapshot of events taking place in their districts. As the government continues to bring the hinterland communities on stream with what is happening in the rest of Guyana, the establishment of community radio stations serves as the bridge that closes the gap between the coastland and the interior region. In this edition of In-Depth, Gabriela Patram throws the spotlight on the various community stations that have been thus far established.
The future of Guyana has never looked better. Our nation is on the cusp of a development program like never seen before. While Guyana is now emerging as an energy giant through the discovery of massive reserves of oil and natural gas, it is your government's intention that the huge benefits emerging from this will go where it matters most, to you, the people of this beloved country. There is a surge of confidence in the way Guyana is governed once again, and the level of investor interest is unprecedented. Guyana is poised to become the breadbasket of the region, and the pace at which this nation will grow through prudent fiscal management will be nothing short of impressive. But more than anything else will be the way every Guyanese, regardless of color, class, or creed, becomes a part of this historic period of national transformation, sharing in the wealth and well-being of it all as one Guyana.
Radio I Shalton is the most recent hinterland community radio station to go on air. It follows the coalition government's move to bridge the gap between the coastland and the interior region via radio, which began in 2016 with the unveiling of stations in Lethem in Region 9 and Mabaruma in Region 1.
Since coming into office, the coalition government has commissioned 5 hinterland radio stations, starting with Lethem and Mabaruma in May and June of 2016, respectively. This was followed by Madia and Bartica in October and November of 2017. Most recently, in February of this year, President Granger noted the importance of these mediums of communication at the launch of Radio I Shalton in the Deep South Rupununi.
That is why it is so important that we have a public broadcasting service in Guyana. A public broadcasting service is essential, especially in this region, a region which is bigger than Costa Rica, as I always say, a region of nearly 58,000 square kilometers, more than a quarter of Guyana's landmass.
The head of state noted that regional radio further integrates all aspects of the country.
Your government is concerned that as far as the delivery of public information is concerned, just like public health, just like public education, you should not be wanting for public information. And this radio station is going to assist, not in education alone, not in information alone, but in democracy, in government. When I speak of public information, I speak of a public good. What is a public good? A public good is something that everyone can take away, but it will not diminish. It will not deprive somebody else from enjoying that good. That is what a public good is.
Tushaw of I Shalton, Douglas Casimero, noted that Radio I Shalton will link the community to the rest of the world.
This positive level of energy, cooperation, professionalism, and respect shown to us by Dr. Deodat and Mr. Bisson is one that forms a model for result-based working relationship between local village leadership and government and other organizations as well.
Enrico Wolford, chairman of the board of directors of NCN, pointed out that while there have been challenges with the flow of information, particularly from north to south, this has begun to change.
Now you can hear, as Guyanese are wont to say, live and direct, how your elected representatives are doing in the nation's capital. And you can hear from your regional and local representatives as the information and communication technology sector, of which broadcasting is an integral part, grows and develops in this country. NCN has already started the process of change. As I said, you can hear and see.
Communications specialist and project coordinator Dr. Robin Deodat observed that with the commissioning of each new regional radio station, there is a refreshing sense of pride and accomplishment. Dr. Deodat also pointed out that playing an integral part in the project is Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu.
If there's any other project that we have undertaken, and if you permit me to include myself in the government team, if there's any other project that we have undertaken that has scored broad-based involvement and active support, it has been these regional radio projects. And folks, I've done this 4 times before. This is the 5th. So one might get a little, if you like, taking it for granted kind of an attitude. But this is a brand new radio station with brand new listeners, young, old, and medium caliber. And so one can't take anything for granted. Each project is a new and extremely sparkling and delightful one for the regions in which they serve or the villages that they serve.
The recent launch of Radio Aishalton was attended by several ministers of government, including the Minister of Indigenous Peoples Affairs, Sidney Alicock, Minister of Communities, Ronald Bulkan, Tushals from surrounding villages, regional officials, and representatives from other organizations.
On May 22, 2017, Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu officially flipped the switch to turn on Radio Lethem. Gabriela Patram continues our in-depth report.
With Radio Lethem inaugural broadcast, history was created as residents in Lethem and surrounding communities were tuned in to what was happening in Guyana. Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu during the feature address noted that the commissioning of the station is a promise fulfilled from the coalition government.
This is a promise that has been renewed by our coalition in our manifesto. In the elections last year, we promised that we will bring these communities closer in contact with the coast. And this was repeated this morning that Vice President Alicock and the President Granger have said that the coast and the interior of Guyana should not be separated, that we have to integrate the coast with the hinterland. We have to integrate our economies. We have to integrate our plans because, as I said, we have one Guyana. And so it is not that I am singled out for mention in relation to the history of my involvement in the development of radio for communities. It is because I believe that I had promised before that we should have accelerated growth and development of indigenous communities.
Prime Minister Nagamutu noted that it is through radio the spirit of unity in Guyana will continue to spread and foster. Insert.
I identify broadcasting as the principal vehicle to unite our Guyanese people. Because if you cannot spread the word of unity, you cannot achieve the objective of unity. And the only way you spread the word is to be able to communicate with all the communities of Guyana, from the coast to the hinterland, to the border areas, to the riverine areas, to the forested part, to the mountainous part, to the hills, Bina Hill.
The Minister of Information added that the officials owe it to young people to ensure that they have access to information for a very long time.
We owe it as a duty to our young people that they will be able to receive wider communication, to access the wider world through radio and television.
Regional Chairman of Region 9, Brian Alicock, said Lethem will be forever grateful for the radio station.
They really have the heart into Region 9. Don't you agree? And Michelle said that we are on two opposite sides. That doesn't matter. We are still brothers. And I always say that whatever is done, it is not by our design, but the design of the Creator.
Prime Minister Nagamutu said that the coalition government sees all Guyanese as one in spite of geographical differences. Radio Latam continues to shine as educational and important information continues to be disseminated through the airwaves.
Immediately following the start of the local broadcast in Latham in June of 2016, it was the turn of the residents of Mabaruma to turn the dial to their own community radio station frequency.
Radio Mabaruma 95.1 FM was officially launched by Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu. The activity was dubbed as a historical one by the residents and all those present and was described as the mechanism to stimulate economic activities in the region. This was the view expressed by Prime Minister Nagamutu as he delivered the feature address.
You'll be able to tell your own story. You'll be able to put your own advertisement so that I don't have to wear peanuts on my neck to advertise peanuts from Northwest District. Or your coffee, your famous coffee from Guyana. I haven't tasted one of that in 20 years. But it used to be in these big cups. When you had a walnut coffee, you don't want coffee again for another year. You can advertise your commodities. You could advertise one of the speciality of the Northwest, your Morocco. You could advertise smoked Morocco, dried Morocco, and people out there will know where to find the products so that radio will stimulate economic activities. Radio is intended to bring money in your pocket, and that is the common sense of having radio.
He further explained that his administration believes in inclusivity and that the people of the country's hinterland must have equal access to all state services. He reminded that Mabaruma has acquired township status and this is the beginning of a transformation process. The Prime Minister, who has government's oversight of the broadcast sector, said the establishment of the community radio stations is part of his government's effort to connect Guyanese despite geographical locations. The establishment of the radio station, he stated, is one way of bridging the gap and closing the communication divide. Prime Minister Nagamutu, speaking about Guyana's advancement, stated that all indigenous communities must be part of the process. The Prime Minister stated that the coalition government sees all Guyanese as one despite race, color, or religion, adding that President David Granger has asked that the development of hinterland communities be fast-tracked this year. Prior to the commencement of the official program and shortly after Prime Minister switched on Radio Mabaruma 95.1 FM, President Granger's recorded message was aired. In his message, the president stated that radio can be used as a tool to develop the communities in the hinterland. He called on the people of the region to work together in a united effort to foster the development of the region.
People in the hinterland areas must be brought on steam with what is happening in the rest of Guyana, and eventually a two-way communication would take place and we would start to carry news from interior areas, not only about indigenous peoples, but also the news from the mining community, the forestry community, people locked in the interior, and they had no means of being heard or no means by which they can know what is taking place on the coast. Communication in the real sense is knowledge, and knowledge in the real world is power.
Mayor of Mabaruma Henry Rupert Smith defined the event as a historic one. He further stated that the station can be used to showcase Mabaruma's tourism, its agriculture products, and it will be able to provide the region with the latest news and other information.
The launching of Radio Mabaruma, first ever radio station to be established in Mabaruma town. This occasion clearly shows that Guyana now has a leader with vision, who is none other than our President, Brigadier David and Arthur Granger. For this radio station is his brainchild. This, to my mind, is a step in the right direction because we live in a world of technology. I do agree that technology has taken a long time to come to Region 1, but today it has finally arrived. A radio station here. In my wildest dreams, I never imagined it would be so soon established. It is a definite opening to showcase Mabaruma in terms of tourism, commodities we produce, our talents, sports, agriculture, to name a few. And we in turn will be up to date with news within the region, other regions, towns, and the rest of Guyana as a whole.
Regional Councillor Pamela Ford stated that the people of Region 1 are thankful for the initiative. She said this is a testimony to how important we have become. She committed to working with the people of the region to have the government's vision of social cohesion become a reality. The program ended with Prime Minister Nagamutu presenting several radio sets to tushals of various communities within the region. Following the official program, Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu, 4th Vice President and Minister of Indigenous Peoples Affairs Sidney Alicock, Minister within the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs Valerie Garida Lowe, and Minister of Communities Ronald Bulkan were the first guests to be interviewed in the radio studios.
In 2017, the first hinterland community to go on air was Madhya. The station is seen as a mechanism to stimulate economic activities in Region 8. Residents felt a sense of pride as they switched on their radios and began receiving information.
Radio Madhya is a journey completed and a promise fulfilled. This was stated by Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu as he delivered the feature address at the commissioning of Radio Madhya 95.1 FM.
For me today, Radio Madhya is a journey that has been complete, a promise fulfilled, and I want you to enjoy, sit back, relax, and enjoy Radio Madhya.
The Prime Minister said the station will reflect the pride, culture, and the way of life of the community.
You are, if Guyana is a, most time it looks like a beautiful woman, right? Madhya is the heart. This region, Pataru region, is the heart of Madhya, and I can give you some interesting information. When you Google this region, you see already on the internet that Pataru Siparuni is twice as large. This region alone is twice as large as Trinidad. It's twice the size of Jamaica, 4 times the size of Trinidad. And you have space still that you can throw in Barbados, Grenada, and Dominica. So large is this region that you could consider yourself almost as big as several countries combined. And so to cover the geographic space, to communicate and spread information, for you to build this cohesion in this region, you need to have a radio station. And this is the importance of Radio Madhya.
Regional Chairman of Region 8, Bonaventure Fredericks, described the commissioning of the radio station as a historic moment.
We in Region 8 has been blessed by this wonderful initiative of the government, whose intention we hear from the President's voice is to have a radio station in all our capital towns in our regions. Something that we have been longing for. We're excited at this time to be part of this. Our hunger for knowledge and information, which is a challenge now, will be somewhat eased because of the information that will be given out from this radio. I stand today a proud resident of this community because of this great asset to our community. It will benefit the business community, it will benefit the students, it will benefit the residents generally on this information that we will soon be hearing in a while. which is already on the air. We know that our quality of education, our quality of business, our quality of life in this region will now be once again up in the lines of information.
Dr. Rovin Deodat outlined the distinctness of Radio Madhya.
Radio Madhya is part of a dream, a vision, a conception of the gentleman sitting in the center of the table here, where one day back in September, well, it goes further than that, but I'd give you the latest episode. In September of 2015, we sat down to have an initial talk. I merely went there to wish him all the best as Prime Minister. And he said, no, hold on, we got work to do. And we started talking immediately about radio stations all around Guyana. Not radio stations per se, but communication connections between the various regions of Guyana and parts that have been isolated and marooned almost. Information marooning, one might call it, where they don't know what's going on at the center until a week later, maybe longer, when the newspapers finally filter down from the RC's office to whoever gets it. And that was the thought. So what was the quickest way of doing that bridging? And we thought radio.
Several government ministers and officials were also in attendance at the significant opening of Radio Madhya.
It was in November of last year that President Granger commissioned the $30 million state-of-the-art Radio Bartica. Housed at the Bartica Learning Center, it will provide local programming to the majority of residents in the Cuyuni-Mazaruni Region 7 district. Its signal can also reach communities in the Upper Demerara Berbice Region 10 district.
Communication along with regional integration has been a main focus for the coalition government. President David Granger in the feature address said public information must be accessible, appealing, informative and accurate to all Guyanese.
I want to emphasize the importance of information. Without information, there will be no development. And that is why we have placed special importance on the public information system. We are developing public information under this administration to achieve certain specific targets. It is not something haphazard, it is not a flash in the pan. It is not a sideshow, it is central to development. And for our administration, public information, is based on 4 major principles. The first is access. Everybody in Guyana must have access to public information. Every village, every individual, every citizen, every little picnic must be able to communicate, to have access. No Guyanese must be out of touch. If you're living in Wariwa now, if you're living in Mabaruma, if you're living in Hobadiah, you must be able to remain in touch with your country through the communication system. Access is very important. You might be living up the longest river in the greatest savannah, but every Guyanese must be able to tune in to his or her regional radio station. Access is the first principle.
The head of state added not only will the station keep persons abreast with current affairs and program, but it will foster social cohesion. President Granger said Radio Bartica is a clear demonstration of all levels of governance in the country working together.
We have different levels of administration. The central level, represented here by my cabinet, the VPs and ministers. The regional level represented by Gordon, and the local level represented by the mayor and deputy mayor, Mr. Marshall and Ms. Prasad. But all 3 levels have to work together. Central must work with regional, regional must work with local and municipal. And what you see this morning is a working together and the physical presence of all 3 levels of government.
Regional Chairman Gordon Bradford urged residents to embrace the radio station, noting the vital role communication plays.
Radio Bartica 5.1. And this will definitely bring tremendous benefits to our region, our township, the residents. I would expect that the education department would make full use of this facility. The health department would make use of this facility. The regional administration, the mayor and town council, the businesses in Bartico, the churches in Bartico, all of us stands to benefit tremendously from this radio station.
Radio Bartica 95.1 is a collaboration between the government and the Guyana Telephone and Telegraph GTT company. The telephone company towers were used to mount the signals to allow the radio station to broadcast. President Granger and Prime Minister Nagamutu together unveiled Radio Bartica commissioning plaque, following which they made the first live appearance on the radio with the National Communications Network NCN's Michelle Abraham Ali. Minister of Indigenous Peoples Affairs Sidney Alicock, Minister within the Ministry of Natural Resources Simona Brooms, Minister of Public Telecommunications Catherine Hughes, and Minister within the Ministry of Finance Jaipal Sharma were also among the first guests to be interviewed in the studios of Radio Bartica.
The future of Guyana has never looked better. Our nation is on the cusp of a development program like never seen before. While Guyana is now emerging as an energy giant through the discovery of massive reserves of oil and natural gas, it is your government's intention that the huge benefits emerging from this will go where it matters most, to you, the people of this beloved country. There is a surge of confidence in the way Guyana is governed once again, and the level of investor interest is unprecedented. Guyana is poised to become the breadbasket of the region, and the pace at which this nation will grow through prudent fiscal management will be nothing short of impressive. But more than anything else will be the way every Guyanese, regardless of color, class, or creed, becomes a part of this historic period of national transformation, sharing in the wealth and well-being of it all as one Guyana.
Soon it will be the turn of Oriella in Region 6 to have its own community radio station. Residents are eagerly anticipating the launch of the facility in the latter part of this month, March. Not only will the station place the community on the national scene, but it will keep the residents abreast of the events in the community and other parts of Guyana. Additionally, the government will continue to explore mechanisms to link the hinterland with the coast. Thanks for watching. Join us again next week when we spotlight aspects of the news. Goodbye.